Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Pia and I am, as always, so very happy that you're joining me here today for a little chat about yarn and knitting. Today we are having a less than perfect weather here in Italy. I think we have a thunderstorm brewing, so it's really hot in that muddy, uncomfortable way. So the only knitwear on my person, and that was what I was going at, the only knitwear on my person today is in my hair. It's the little clip bows. I had made one last week. Now I finished another, and I'm just gonna show them to you. I really hope that you can see them. I'll have to check that when I edit the video. But yeah, they are super cute and they are so fun and easy and quick to make. I made these using the tutorial from Matilda and Julia's Greatest Knits, and I will again this week link their channel so you can go take a look. I cannot recommend this pattern or recipe more. It is such a fun little thing to whip up. It takes about half an hour. I used barely 2 grams of silk mohair per bow, so it's absolutely wonderful for these little nuggets of kit silk you have laying around. I do kind of wish, now that I have them both, that I made them in different colors so that I would have 2 different bows in my hair. But you know, I can always make a third and use those as I like on any given day. But yeah, that is the outfit of the day. Almost all of my knitting time this week has gone towards Peter's sweater. And I have now made my first attempt of a neckline, and I really want to hear your thoughts on it. But let me first talk you through the process of making this perfect fit sweater for Peter. Starting, I think, late winter, Peter started dropping little hints that he would really like me to knit him another sweater. Like, it's been a while, and this one, I mean, if I need to wash that, then I have nothing to wear. All those kinds of little hints. So I decided, as a Father's Day surprise, to cast on a new sweater for him. And this time really try to use the things that I have learned knitting previous sweaters for him to make him a perfect fit sweater. The first thing I needed to do was, of course, find the perfect yarn. And I landed on this. This is Yak and Silk from A Knitter's World in the colorway denim. And it is, yeah, it's a fair, here is a fair representation of the color. It is this dark navy blue with some dark denim blue with, it's a semi-solid, so there's some variations to the color, which just adds depth and interest. And I chose the Yak Silk blend because I wanted to make sure that this sweater that I put a lot of work into would also end up being a sweater that he would use and that would be able to withstand his kind of hard wearing on his sweaters. So I wanted something that was soft and squishy, but also really a durable fiber. And Yak and Silk really ticks those boxes. It's from A Knitter's World, and returning viewers will know that I really love her yarns. And they're actually extra perfect for a situation like this, where I'm knitting a sweater for someone who doesn't necessarily appreciate the rustic wools, the prickly feelings. If you are knitting for someone, that might even be you, who are sensitive to wool, I really recommend taking a look at Bettina's yarns. And if you are allergic to wool, don't give up the idea of using anything but plant-based fibers. Bettina herself used to be a shepherdess, and she then got a wool allergy. Actually, it's the lanolin that she became allergic to. And that sparked the idea of creating her own little one-man show, selling only yarns that can be used for people who are sensitive to wool or who have allergies to wool. So you will find some merino yarns in her shop, but then they will be marked as not necessarily perfect for someone with wool allergy. So she has categorized her yarns into those that are soft and those who are allergy friendly. And the yak and silk is definitely an allergy friendly yarn. Not that I need it. Peter does not have a wool allergy, but he is sensitive, especially up here, to the prickliness of wool. And there is no prickle factor to this at all. So if you have wool allergies, don't despair. You are not doomed to knit with plant fibers for the rest of your life. There are types of animal fibers that has this squishiness, because plant-based fibers, they can be lovely and they definitely have a place also in my knitting life. They have a lot of drape, they have this coolness to them, but they don't have the squish factor, not really. But these yarns do, and yeah. Anyway, this is the yarn that I picked up for Peter, and I brought it with me. We were going to Texas at the time, so it was like a rush order. Please tie up some yarn, I need to bring it. Brought it to Texas, and on Father's Day, I cast on a sweater for him. What I did is based on sweaters that I have knit for him before, I knew how many stitches I would need for the neckline. So I cast on that number of stitches, and then I went directly into the yoke. I did not knit the neckline first for a couple of reasons. First, I wasn't completely sure what kind of neckline I would want. Would I want something very classic, like a 2x2 folded over, or a clean edge with a 1x1 simple rib, maybe with some tubular cast on, or what did I want? What kind? I had no idea at the time. And also, I was a little concerned about the integrity of the sweater, because this is going to be a beast of a sweater. Peter has a long torso and long arms, so that would be a lot of fabric. And the fabric that I am creating with this yarn is relatively heavy. 50% silk. Silk is a heavy fiber. So in order to not put, it would be a lot of weight that a simple neckline cast on, maybe even a very stretchy tubular cast on should carry. I was afraid to compromise the integrity of the entire sweater if everything had to just be carried by one cast on edge. So instead, I cast on after the neckline, and then I have then later picked up stitches and I have folded over the neckline. I have decided that no matter what kind of neckline I'm going to go with, it needs to be folded over and then sewn down, because that will give a really firm edge to help carry and distribute the weight of this huge, huge sweater. I then knit a very classic raglan yoked sweater. I was trying it on him as I knit. I added loads and loads of short rows in the neck and on the back because he is much longer on the back than on the front. So I had to put in lots of short rows, not so that I would lower the hem in the back per se, but just to balance it so it wouldn't slide up. I have now started to knit one of the sleeves, and I like sleeve knitting. It's kind of simple. It's so easy. You don't have a lot of stitches for sleeves. You're just knitting in the round, and you get fewer and fewer stitches as you work your way down the sleeve. So I actually love sleeve knitting, which is a good thing because there's going to be lots of sleeve knitting on this thing. But yeah, I am still trying it on him constantly because I want to make sure that the sleeves fit him. He prefers his sleeve not to have too much positive ease. He wants to be able to wear a shirt underneath, but he doesn't care for a lot of extra fabric hanging down. So I am constantly trying it on him, and I also have to all the time take into account the fact that this yarn is going to grow. Again, it's a heavy fiber. It's a very soft yarn. It's going to grow. So I have to take that into consideration when I try it on him. But yeah, that is going smoothly. And now to the neckline, because I really want to hear your thoughts on this highly untraditional neckline that I have put in now. I think I said this last week. I'm gonna knit different necklines and have him try them on and tell me which one he loves the most. But yeah, this one, what do you think about this one? What I wanted to do was actually to mimic a hooded sweater, but without putting on a hood, because he wouldn't care for a hood for sure. But I wanted to mimic the look of a hooded sweater. So I knit this neckline in stockinette stitch, open here in front, a lot deeper in back than in front. And then I added an I-cord just for fun. It serves absolutely no purpose other than, yeah, giving some visual interest. But what do you think about this neckline? Do you think he's going to go for this, or is he going to try it on and say, oh, that's really nice? And then I'll know that I'll have to pick it out. And because for sure it would be beautiful also with a 2x2 ribbing folded over. I would then, of course, I made sure when I marked my raglan stitches that I would be able to continue the raglan stitches seamlessly up into the neckband. And I think that would look absolutely beautiful too. Still kind of sporty. To me, a 2x2 ribbing is a little more chunky, sporty. But then again, I had forgotten all about that when I worked the ribbing for the body. So I would have to pick that out and also do a 2x2. Oh, I don't know. There is still a lot of decisions to be made on this sweater. I'm just so happy that it fits him perfectly. And again, let me know in the comments, what do you think about this neckline? Am I just being crazy? Am I just chasing the new and shiny rather than thinking about what is practical and what looks good? For the sleeves, I'm also gonna add some short rows because I can tell on Peter's other sweaters that because of the way he moves, I don't know, the way he carries his arms, he is going to need more fabric here on the outside of the arm compared to the inside. So rather than just knitting the sleeves a little too long, which he hates, I'm going to put in some short rows on the underarm, just making sure that again, the sweater is balanced and actually fits him. But yeah, that's the progress that I made on Peter's Father's Day sweater. And it is about time that I finish this thing. In Denmark, we celebrate Father's Day on June 5th. So it's been a hot minute. It's been 3 months almost. So let's just finish this thing, right? I have done my best this week. As I said, the only other thing that I knit apart from this was the one little bow that took me like 30 minutes. So I have been devoting all of my knitting time to this sweater. And when I don't have more to show for it, it's because my knitting time has been limited. We have had a week alone, no children, no guests, no nothing. And in my mind, we would have all the time in the world, and we'd be able to go on some hikes in the mountains, and we'd go to the lake, and we would have these long, lazy yeah, we've been working. We have been working so hard. But yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. And I really feel good about having a lot of work done now, so I can relax a little more. Last week, I showed a video of how I sticked my doodle sweater to make it into a cardigan. If you haven't seen that episode, it is the episode from last week, the one right before this one. And I didn't mention that maybe I would put in, I would add buttons and then just do afterthought buttonholes. And one of you asked, how do you do an afterthought buttonhole? And I thought that was a great question, great topic for tips and tricks, because it's one of those skills that are really convenient to have. It's nice to know that you can put in your buttonholes after you have knitted your cardigan and you have had a chance to search for the perfect buttons and figure out, are they big buttons and should they be further apart, or are they teeny tiny buttons that should be really close together, or what look are you going for? That can be so difficult to determine before you have seen the finished cardigan. So being able to make an afterthought buttonhole is absolutely wonderful. It also saves you all the counting and measuring as you're knitting buttonholes, and it doesn't take much time. So how I do it, because I'm sure there are many different ways to do it, how I do it is the easy way. I mean, why make it harder on yourself, right? Typically, the button bands will be in some sort of ribbing. If they are folded over or double knit button bands, this can be a little more fiddly, a little more tricky, but it can definitely be done. I know this because I tried it. But if you have a ribbed button band, it is so easy. And it's the same if your button band is knit vertically and horizontally. It doesn't make any difference. What you do is you find out where you want your buttonhole. Then you take one of the purl stitches as seen from the front of the cardigan. You take a purl stitch, and then you just poke your finger through. See, now I'm going to poke it through from the wrong side so that you can see I just poked my finger through a purl stitch. And then you actually just work to make this one stitch bigger. And you can easily do that. It's not gonna be visible. It's not like the other stitches are gonna here against my white t-shirt. It's not like the other stitches are going to be compromised by this. You can easily do it. Once you have the perfect size for your buttons, you take some sewing thread or some of the yarn if you're working in a finer yarn. And then you just sew around the edges so that you like keep the shape of the hole that you just made. Because if I leave this or even pull a little on it, my buttonhole is gone. So you want to secure the buttonhole that you just made by sewing all the way around it. If you have a very fine yarn, or if you want really big buttons, you may not be able to enlarge the stitch sufficiently. In that case, you need to snip a thread. Like cut. Again, I'm all about cutting your knitting. When you do that, you need to secure where you snipped. Or, I mean, optimally, you should secure before you knit. So if I were to put in a really large buttonhole, I would take 2 stitches next to each other, and I would enlarge them both. So it would be like this. Okay. Not the easiest. I should have done this before pressing record, right? But yeah, I would open 2 stitches so that I had like a big hole with just 1 thread hanging between down the middle. Can you see it like this? And then I would sew all the way around, and I would use sewing thread, like a really fine thread, and really sew very tightly, and make sure to catch the thread in the middle multiple times. Once that is done, you can easily snip that thread and have your large afterthought buttonhole. So I really hope you're up for trying afterthought buttonholes if you haven't tried it before. There is something so gratifying about manipulating your stitches and creating something from nothing. I mean, it's a buttonhole, but I really like doing these afterthought buttonholes. They always make me feel so accomplished. So I hope you want to try the afterthought buttonhole. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I will be more than happy to do my best to answer them. It is so much fun to have this little segment where I get to think and you get hopefully some useful answers. So please don't hesitate to put your questions below. You can also put them on Instagram, or you can write me an email. My Instagram account and my email address is in the description box below, where, I mean, the only link there's going to be this week is going to be for Matilda and Julia's Greatest Knits, because I'll also link Bettina's shop, A Knitter's World, in case you or someone you love are allergic or sensitive to wool and you want to check out her yarns. But yeah, that was it for this week. This is a short episode again, but I actually enjoy popping in every week with shorter episodes, just to have this little time to reflect and look back. What did I knit? How did I choose to spend my time this week? I really enjoy that. So there is nothing much to talk about when I'm not knitting part of this podcast, because as I said, when I haven't been knitting, I've been working. Some of that work is knitting too, but it's different from the for fun knitting that I do. So it has, again, been a busy but very happy week. Tomorrow we are gonna pack up the car, put Misa in, and we are gonna head to Denmark. We have a big party to go to, and I really hope to be able to wear my hair up like this. I really like it, and also it keeps me just a little bit cool. So we're also gonna start a crazy project of renovating our old home in Denmark. It has been many, many, many years since that place has seen as much as a bit of paint. So it's about time, and now we're just gonna go for it. So I know what to do with my time. I really hope that you know what to do with your time. I hope it's something nice and funny and relaxing that you're doing. And then I hope to see you again next week, where I might have a finished sweater for Peter. Who knows? Or I have cast on a multitude of new projects, and we will take it from there. Anyway, until we meet again, be well, be happy, and keep knitting.